In the previous video, we talked about the 9th Espada, our Nero, a character with unique traits that you don't see in most of the other Espadas. He's the only Guardian who ever managed to reach the Espada ranks. But today, we're not here to talk about our Nero anymore. Instead, we're diving into another Espada, one who never appeared in the anime or even the manga, but in the light novel Spirits Are Forever with You. This mysterious Espada reveals a completely new side of the whole world. A side we'd never seen before, and gives us a different perspective on the relationship between the human world and Hueco Mundo. Even more fascinating, guys, is that this Espada is connected to Baraggan, the former king of Hueco Mundo, and also has ties to the 8th Kenpachi. But the biggest surprise of all is not just a single entity. They are actually a group known as the Picaro, a mysterious collective that carries secrets, powerful enough to change how we see the Espadas forever. And that's exactly, guys, what we're going to explore in today's video. The story of this group, a story filled with tragedy, mystery, and emotion. If Can't Fear Your Own World gives us new events after the great war between the Shinigamis and the Quincy's, revealing many secrets that Kobo left unexplained in the manga, then Spirits Are Forever with You took a completely different path. It focused more on the human and the darker sides of Bleach, some parts that we always wanted to discover, like the past Kenpachis or unknown Arrancars who never got enough screen time in the main story. What really makes this novel, guys, special is how it explores the past lives of the Arrancars before they became Hollows. Yes, before they lost their humanity. That's something Kobo rarely ever touched on, except for a few cases like the Hollow Shrieker, who was originally a serial killer, or Orihimi's brother, who turned into a Hollow, driven by sorrow and regret. But seeing the Espada themselves as humans, that's a whole new level. It completely changes how we think about evil in Hollows. It reminds us that some Hollows, they weren't born monsters. Life, cruelty, and suffering turned them into what they are. Among these characters, guys, whose past was revealed, there are two Espada in particular. The first one is Zailoapero, the 8th Espada, whose human past explains perfectly why he met such a darker fate and ended up in hell. The second story, the one we'll focus on today, is much stranger and far more emotional. It tells the story of a group of children who eventually became a single hollow being. In one small village, there was an orphanage that housed over 100 children. But one day, under mysterious circumstances, all the caretakers who looked after them died, leaving the kids alone with no food and no one to help them. And over time, the children starved to death. And when they died, they turned into souls, and with no Shinigami around to send them to the Soul Society, their souls started to rot and slowly transform into hollows. Then, following pure instincts, they began devouring each other until only one hollow survived that terrible tragedy. So that hollow, once he regained a part of his consciousness, he realized the horror of what he had done. He felt a deep sense of guilt for consuming his friends, children who were once like his family. So he began searching for them, hoping to find them again in some form. As time passed, he evolved into a Gideon, then a Diokas, and started wandering across different worlds, especially the human world, searching for souls of lost children and inviting them to join him. But what he did next was truly strange. Whenever those children turned into hollows, he would feed them a part of his own body to stop them from devouring each other. And over the years, a group of more than 100 hollows gathered around him, all of them connected by a shared consciousness and emotional bond, almost like a single family. And what made them unique is that despite their immense power, they still had the minds of children, playful, energetic, and curious. And they lived freely during the rule of Baraggan until Aizen Soski appeared. So Aizen saw their potential and gave them a rank among the Espada, a group that became known as the Picaro, named by none other than the 8th Espada, Zailoapero. But here is where the mysterious side of the Picaro truly begins, guys. So far, Kubo has never officially confirmed whether they were part of the original generation of the Espada or not, but there is strong evidence suggesting they were. In the Spirits Are Forever with You, it stated that when Aizen appeared in Hueco Mundo, he directly recruited the Picaro into the Espada ranks. What remains unclear, however, is the number Aizen assigned to them. Still based on a constant pattern seen with the other prevailing Espadas, there is a strong case that they once held the rank of Espada number 2. For example, take Dordoni, who appeared in Hueco Mundo arc. He carried the number 103. And this wasn't random. The 100 prefix marked him as a former Espada, while the 3 indicated his previous position as an Espada number 3, and this detail was officially confirmed in Kenpachi onward, which mentioned that when Nilelo was Espada number 3, Dordoni was the one who held that position before her. So a similar case applies to Zairoaporo, who was originally Espada 0, before splitting himself into 2 entities, himself and his brother Yieldfort. After that division, he lost his official title and became Espada 100 Tien, showing the same numbering logic. The same system continues with others. Tsurushi has number 105, so was likely the former Espada number 5, and Gantenbane had number 107, was probably Espada number 7. And so following this logic, the Picaro who hold the number 102 were most likely the second Espada in the original group before losing their official position. And if we form the ranking again of that early era, it would have looked like this. Zairoaporo Espada 0, Baraggan probably Espada number 1, and the Picaro Espada number 2. And later when Aizen discovered Stark's overwhelming power, he gave him number 1, moving Baraggan to number 2 and reclassifying the Picaro as former Espada under the number 102. Of course guys, this is just my theory about that ranking. No official statement from Kubo or any canon source confirms it, but based on the strong numerical consistency across all the prevailing Espadas, this conclusion remains the most logical and likely truth. No matter what specific reasons led Aizen Sasuke to grant the Picaro such a higher rank, one thing is certain: there was a striking contrast in the symbolism of that rank. Number 2. Take Baraggan for example. Espada number 2 here represented aging and slow death. Even his human form reflected that, an old man whose very presence symbolized decay and the inevitable passage of time. But the Picaro, who, as I said, maybe they were Espada number 2, embodied the complete opposite. They stood for youth, vitality, and childlike innocence. Their appearance were those of small children, some even resembling animals, and I believe they might have originally been animals who lived with the children before turning into hollows. In other words, they were all born from the same tragedy, and at their core, the Picaro aren't evil at all. They're simply children, beings who still carry the minds and emotions of kids who love to play and laugh. But on the other side guys, when you give children such power, they can suddenly become dangerous, especially for weaker beings around them, because the Picaro saw the world around them just like a game. They love playing games, nothing all. They might encounter a weaker Arrancar and cheerfully say, let's play a zero match until one of us loses, without realizing the devastating destruction that such games could cause. Because each member of the Picaro is capable of firing an incredibly powerful zero. But what's truly terrifying guys is that their ability to combine their powers into a single, unified zero. One so intense it can vaporize Arrancars like Tonton Chaka and Pishi. And they also share a unique telepathic link that lets them exchange energy and coordinate their attacks, fighting as if they were a single being with multiple minds. And because of their unstable nature and playful behavior inside Las Noches, eventually Aizen had no choice but to strip them of their Espada rank and imprison them within the palace. However guys, when we talk about power, one of the best examples of their true strength is the resurrection. In the novel guys, the Picaro play a vital role in several major events. Some members travel between the Soul Society and human world, while others remain in the Dangai. And during one of these events, part of the group faced the 8th Kenpachi, Azashiro Soya. And it was during this encounter they released the resurrection for the first time. And what's even more fascinating guys is that other members of the Picaro who weren't even present or intending to fight automatically activated the release at the same time. and that alone proves how deeply they are connected, as if they share one soul, and their resurrection is called a langosta migratoria. So when they transform, their forms don't change drastically, but from their backs sprout large and transparent wings that glow with powerful spiritual energy, and their reacts also increase dramatically, and their telepathic link intensified to the point that they fight with perfect harmony, and their resurrections, guys, grants them several deadly abilities, like Razor Winds, where they generate sharp wind blades that slice through both flesh and reishi with terrifying speed. And also we have one of their strongest techniques, Chochiria. By synchronizing their voices at exact frequencies, they create a small black hole that sucks in everything nearby, exactly reishi. So when they unleashed his power against Azashiro Soya, he suffered serious injuries because, as you know, his Bankai merges his body with his surrounding. Any ability that absorbs reishi becomes a direct threat to him, which made the Picaro's technique especially effective. And actually guys, when I was reading about them, an idea came to my mind. What if they made Kazui Kurosaki Ichigo's son? I mean, a group like the Picaro would see him as a kind spirit, a leader who shares both their innocence and their overwhelming power. I really want to see that meeting between him and the Picaro. Ending guys, what do you think about the Picaro, about their story? Tell me guys your opinions in the comments, and see you in my next video.